Here we are, it's October already. How is that possible? Spooky season already. I wear my mask year round. Nonetheless, it's time for another review. And early last week, I did a video about the 3 WWE Hall of Famers who joined G.I. Joe, that being Roddy Piper, The Fridge, and Sergeant Slaughter. And no, we're not turning into a G.I. Joe vlog here, but hey, it got a ton of views, so hopefully a lot of people from the G.I. Joe collecting community enjoyed it. And now we're going to review the latest Sergeant Slaughter figure from anywhere. It's a 2-pack with one of his Renegades. If you remember the classic G.I. Joe movie from 1987, you remember the Renegades. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it's the 3rd G.I. Joe classified Sergeant Slaughter figure. You can see the first 2 behind me. And it was actually those figures, well, the first one, that got me collecting the G.I. Joe classified. So I actually collected G.I. Joe hardcore before I collected wrestling hardcore, and I've talked about that before. I was a fan of both, but G.I. Joe was like my #1 toy, and, well, I'd say after the original line ended, I collected some of the remakes they did, new stuff they did, but it just wasn't the same. It never caught on with really any collector. I mean, they did a little bit and it just kind of fizzled out until this classified stuff came along. I mean, it is cool because it captures the real American Hero line, which is the little Joes that you know, but then it brings them up to date. It makes them a lot bigger. Modern posing, modern sculpting, tons of accessories, as we're gonna see. But it captured the feel of the real American Hero. And of course, Slaughter got me into these classifieds. I've been selling off my originals, except for Slaughter, Piper, and the Fridge, as I talked about. But I've been selling off the other ones just for a lot of money. I mean, I gotta fund this vlog somehow, right? To buy stuff like this. They ain't sending it to me. But it was the Slaughter, the first Slaughter. I said, these are really nice figures. Just like I said, tons of accessories. And I'd say about 6 months to a year ago, I just started buying some of the other ones, not collecting the whole line, kind of collecting the people who were in the original show, the original comic, and the original toy line. And even what's funny is some of the characters who appeared in the comic and in the cartoon were in the original toy line, and now they're making them, which is just great. So I have been kind of G.I. Joe focused lately. It's fun. It's another aspect to the figure photography that I love so much. Hey, look, I guess I'm going through like a midlife crisis. Figure photography is fun. I mean, I won't say it's better than sex, but at least I can post the photos everywhere, right? Yeah. Anyway, we're going to open this. We're going to unbox the latest Sergeant Slaughter, which, as you can see, is a much different look than a lot of the Sergeant Slaughter figures we've seen. In fact, I would say the only one that is close to this, which I think is what they're basing it off of, is the Driver Sergeant Slaughter figure, which I showed in the video about the with the WWE G.I. Joe connection. I think he drove a vehicle. I think he came with a vehicle called the Warthog. I think I'm remembering that correctly. And he was the first one to have a removable hat, and he had the very similar design of an outfit. So I'll continue talking while I open it. You know how I hate to open things; it gets all awkward. I did cut the tape for simplicity's sake, and this is classified number 173. They are numbered. I think the vehicles are numbered, the single figures. So they've done a lot. And I've been picking them up. I mean, some of the older ones you can get at shows. I picked up a lot of, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. I paid dirt cheap for the mitten box. And I opened them, but just some of them you're going to pay more for than originally. Some you aren't. It's great. There's the window box. Here they are. And I don't know that we'll remove every accessory as we go along, because it can get tedious pulling them out. But we're going to definitely look at the figures themselves. As you can see, for the first time ever, something we've all wanted for years, you get a Sergeant Slaughter head with the whistle in his mouth. And that's just awesome. You of course get the alternate head. I'm assuming the sunglasses come off on this head, but I really don't know yet. We're going to take a look at that. I haven't looked into this set very much. I had it on pre-order, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Of course, you get the classic Swagger stick, lots of guns. He gets a pretty cool gun there. And then Mercer is one of the Sergeant Slaughter's Renegades. And I thought I remembered him appearing in one issue of the comic, and I did a little research because I was like, weren't the Renegades in at least one issue of the comic they should have. I couldn't find any evidence of that. I saw where he appeared, Mercer himself, maybe the other two Renegades appeared in a more recent comic book, but I wouldn't know that. So that can't be what I'm thinking of. There were issues called Order of Battle, which were just dossiers and like nice drawn photos or comics, cartoons, whatever you want to call them, of each character. Kind of reminded you of the old file cards that you would clip and save off the back. In fact, the Order of Battle comics is where they showed Rocky Balboa in the first one, because he was going to come to G.I. Joe. Hasbro designed a figure. They even designed a villain, Big Boa, which was released, a Cobra counterpart. But then I guess there was an issue with Coleco making the Rambo figures, so they couldn't do Rocky Balboa. So all other Order of Battle issues have a disclaimer in the back saying, sorry, but Rocky Balboa, who appeared in the first issue, has never been and is not a part of G.I. Joe. Please disregard. It was just like, what? Really? As a kid, you don't understand yet. You're like, I have the issue. It says he's part of G.I. Joe, but whatever. He wasn't, and apparently the Renegades, Mercer, Taurus, and Red Bull, were not. Is it Red Bull? Yeah, Red Dog, Red Bull. What am I saying? Red Dog. Weren't in the, I swear they're part of the Order of Battles. Maybe somebody can correct me if you're from the Joe collecting community. You can correct me on that. I don't know, but the comics are packed away. But Mercer, they were in the movie, the animated movie, and Slaughter had the slaughterhouse where he trained. I don't know if it was a training center as much as it was. He had Joes from the other walks of life there. He had Mercer was a reformed Cobra Viper soldier, and he had Taurus, who was a circus strongman or something to that effect, and he was voiced by Earl Bowen for you Mama's Family fans. Reverend Meacham. Yeah, Reverend Meacham was a G.I. Joe. How about that? The late, great Earl Bowen. And I only remember one line of his, horoscopes say bad day to travel. Anyway, that's enough Taurus and enough Earl Bowen. We love you, Earl Bowen. God bless you. We're going to look at these figures. So, of course, we're going to look at Slaughter first. And I do want to see if the glasses are removable on this head, or if it's just like something that is different. And the ones you see behind me, they're removable. And we'll just yank the hat off to get them out. These are to get out and be good. There's the hat. Same brownish hat as Kinko's. And here is the Sarge himself. With the new face with the molded in whistle. Yes, the glasses do come off. So it's pretty much the same face that you get here and or on the other Slaughters, just with the whistle molded in. And put this over here, because God knows I will lose it. And we'll look, you can see the ammo belt, which that little Slaughter I was talking about with the removable hat had. And there's just always a ton of holsters and what's the word I'm looking for? Sheaths for knives and stuff like that on these classifieds. I mean, they are just awesome. And he comes with just a boatload of weapons and different hats as well. This is the Marine hat that I remember, like Leatherneck and Gung Ho having. And what's fun about this is right here is he comes with a beret. Now we know that that's a, you know, that's an American military thing too. But when you think of Sergeant Slaughter in a beret, what do you think of? You think of Turncoat Sergeant Slaughter, don't you? So this actually, I mean, if you really want, this is the first thing I thought of when I had this on pre-order months and months ago, is, you know, if you really, you could have in your world, are you like me and you're like nearly a senior citizen and you have a figure rolled in your mind or your coffee table? Of course you do. You could have him join Cobra. Would he do that? I mean, he joined General Adnan and Colonel Mustafa. Of course he could join Cobra. And then Cobra gets defeated, gets captured, and he wants his country back. He begs Duke, he begs Hawk, he begs Don Johnson. You know, it could happen. And there he is with his beret. And you do get, like I said, you get an alternate head and the swagger stick, which it's kind of fun because, you know, the Swagger stick didn't really enter. It was from the very first Sergeant Slaughter figure from G.I. Joe. It was there, but it really didn't enter the picture with the wrestling figures until, I believe, like the Coliseum collection, which wasn't all that many years ago, 2021. I think that was the first one. I remember Jax gave him the Big Boss Man's nightstick because they were just so Chinese New Year ghetto that they did anything. But yeah, there it is. And I also remember that the heel Sergeant Slaughter, the turncoat in the beige, came with it. And Mike G, if you're watching, I think I bought that off you in a dark parking lot. Did I not? I think I did. Yeah. Who doesn't make deals for figures in parking lots? But there he is with the stick. And he does come with a smattering of firearms. But I think the coolest for Slaughter is this one. Oh, and he does have, they have different hands. He also comes with a salute hand. I'm not going to grab it out for simplicity's sake, but this is actually the coolest. I know my different guns. There's Lugers, there's Colts, there's this, there's that. I know the Luger's the German little, like, World War II era deal. Is this a Colt? It might be. I am not a firearms guy, so I really don't know. I watch Gunsmoke. I mean, that's as much as I know. But this is, like, really cool for him to have. It just, I don't know. It's just, like, I could see him pulling that out and just, like, you know, blowing Destro away. You know what I'm talking about? So, or, like, Zartan, and then Zartan goes, I will not fall to you, Sergeant Slaughter. And then he turns into Sergeant Slaughter and, like, punches him. You know, yeah, we're not going to do any more storylines. But see, that looks really cool. That's bitchin'. And then we're going to look at, even though he's not a wrestling, I'm sorry for my wrestling fans out there, but I hope I'm entertaining enough this time for you to stay, because, you know, I don't want you to go away. I want you to like and subscribe. You know. But we're going to look at Mercer, who has no wrestling connection, because Mercer is cool. And Mercer has the same outfit that he had on in the original figure back in 1987. And he's a little short, but I don't know how tall they are. I don't remember in the movie them really standing next to each other. You can see he's shorter than the Sarge. But I don't know. I don't know if that's just by design or if Hasbro screwed up. Like that'd be the first time. But you do get an alternate head for him as well. And he has the anti-Cobra patch on, which Lieutenant Falcon, Don Johnson, sees when he gets taken to the slaughterhouse. And they all rough him up, the Renegades. And he sees the Cobra patch, and he goes, Cobra! And then he did a line, because, you know, Don Johnson would, anyway, yeah, there's Mercer. And they did another Mercer, at least when I was still collecting, like in 91. And it didn't look anything like Mercer. I never knew why they did that, but they had a beard, and it was like a rounded haircut. It was just like, why not make him somebody else? But yeah, there is our new Mercer, and he also comes with a smattering of weapons, different hands, fists, knives, and if I could, sunglasses. God, put those over there, or I'm never gonna find them again. There's tape over it, so I'm not gonna do it. But he does have a gun with a silencer. On all these classifieds, that they have silencers and all the scopes and all that, you can actually remove them. It's just in the clips. It's really cool. But what's cool about that is it's a homage to the original figure again, because his original figure was the first I can remember that had a gun with a silencer. That was his weapon, and it was just a cool little feature. That's what was fun with those original G.I. Joes. They were all different. Everybody had a designation. It was like Commando, codename Snake Eyes; Intelligence, codename Scarlet; Ranger, codename Beachhead. You know, they all had a designation. They all had ranks. You know, you had Larry Hama writing the file cards. He wrote the comics as well. And, you know, he wanted everything to be authentic as possible when you're G.I. Joe versus Cobra. But still, you know, this is great. And I think if you're like a wrestling fan who's a Slaughter person, you should be collecting these classified Slaughters, because also, I mean, again, not to go back to figure photography, but if you've seen my figure photography, the Figure Arena, I've had both of those Slaughters in there. They fit with the wrestlers. They're great. You know, and you don't really have to have all the weaponry and stuff that he wouldn't have had. Uh, like I said, there's never been a Slaughter with the whistle in his mouth before figure. So, that'd be something if you're just a wrestling collector you'd want to pick up. I mean, these aren't cheap. Those two Slaughters have gone down in price. I think the first one was even appearing at Ollie's. I never saw it there, but I remember hearing that. I've seen them both on websites recently for retail, or maybe even less than they originally sold for. This set is $59.99, but it's such a unique Slaughter that I recommend picking it up. And I'm the anti-influencer. If I'm telling you to get it, you should. Look, Slaughter was, I'm going to say it, because I'm not shy about my opinion, because I like to back my opinion up with fact. Slaughter was the second most well-known wrestler of the 80s because of G.I. Joe. Hogan was first. No one will outdo Hogan. I've said it many times. No one from any era outdoes Hogan as far as recognition. I've given you my Austin comparison before. The Rock maybe now, because I'd say a good portion of people know who The Rock is, but that's not because of wrestling. That's because of his career after wrestling. Hogan was known because of wrestling. Yeah, he did movies, but No Holds Barred came later. He wasn't a big deal in Rocky. It was his wrestling explosion, The Rock and wrestling, that's why he was a household name that even your grandmother knew. Slaughter would have been number 2. Ric Flair wasn't. I'm sorry, not even close. Is there a bigger Dusty Rhodes fan than me? No. Dusty wasn't as big. There just wasn't one. Andre, yeah, but you know what? His peak was really in the 70s, like Dusty. So, but as far as all time, I mean, it's Hogan. Slaughter's number 2. Slaughter was G.I. Joe. Even if you were a child and you didn't watch G.I. Joe, you watched other cartoons. He came on in the commercials for the figures. He did them. Basically, everyone knew Sergeant Slaughter. And he wasn't even in the WWF for that duration of popularity. He also had the best merchandise of any wrestler besides Hogan. Well, I will say this. Let me say this. He had the biggest merchandise of that era for a wrestler that wasn't involved with the WWF marketing machine. There's no doubt about it. So, you got to celebrate the guy. Does his handler charge too much to sign stuff at now it shows? Yes. But he's still a great guy. He's always been the nicest. If you look at my posts on here, you'll see I posted one of the pictures from when I met him in September of '88 for the first time. And he was nice then. He's been nice every time since. Just don't get his figure signed anymore, because his handler, I don't think it's him. I think it's his handler. They're going to put you over a barrel. But anyway, great set, $59.99. I had it on pre-order from Hasbro Pulse for, I think, a long time. I saw somewhere that, Amazon's shipping them out now. It was the same price. I canceled my Pulse order. Got it today from Amazon in like a day. So, it was worth it. Will this set go down in price? So, like a non-G.I. Joe collector might be more inclined to get it. It's a possibility. It's a wide release. Obviously, if Amazon has it and it's not exclusive to anyone. I don't think it's supposed to appear in stores, and really the distribution on these in stores is kind of weird anyway. Target and Walmart are very wishy-washy on it. I could see it maybe appearing in like a GameStop. They seem to get some of the bigger sets like this, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I collect the line. I pick and choose what I buy from the line, but I can't say I really follow the news of the line. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll pre-order. I'm at a show. I'm like, oh, they made him. That's cool. More recently, I've been like, yeah, I need to get that one, that one, and that one. I go to a show and I find them for the price I'm willing to pay. But again, I don't follow the news of it. I see things here and there. I will say the one bit of news I do know is I saw that at least Red Dog of the Renegades, probably Taurus too, but I think Red Dog is going to be unveiled somewhere here for a figure soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 2-pack. That way, 2 2-packs get you 2 2 packs get you 2 2 packs get you Slaughter and the Renegades. But here they are. Slaughter and Mercer, it's a great set. I don't know the next time we'll be talking G.I. Joe, so, because, you know, the connections kind of end here. Of course, we'll talk about Slaughter more. We've talked about him a lot already. But if you are a G.I. Joe fan and you found this, we show a lot of toys here. Maybe we'll show something else you like. We show a lot from the 80s. Please like and subscribe. If you're a wrestling fan and you suffered through this just to hear my melodic voice, God bless you. Thank you. I hope you're liked and subscribed. You like it and are subscribed as well. It took me a while to figure that one out, as I'm doing it off the cuff as I do. And thanks for watching as always, and we'll be back with wrestling, I promise. Yo, Joe.